Welcome to the Envelopes Emmy Contender Series. I'm Glenn Whipp, and today we're talking to Henry Winkler, who plays Gene Cousineau in the TV series Barry.
Yeah.
Welcome.
And a happy Henry Winkler because he plays Gene Cousineau on Barry.
You have to be happy because, first of all, this was a very coveted role, from what I understand.
I did not know that. I auditioned for it. Mm-hmm. And when I first got the call, I said, okay, just tell me this. They say I'm on a short list. Okay. Is Dustin Hoffman on that list? Because if he is, I'm not going in.
You're not going to.
They're going to hire him. No, I don't have a chance. Okay. So I go in and I audition for Bill Hader, who my wife and I have watched for years now on Saturday Night Live. Then it turns out that I have so many friends who have worked with him because he was an assistant editor on this show or that show. I mean, he has just done a million different jobs. Okay, so I audition and I get it. Okay, okay. And then it is the Super Bowl in February, and I went to a friend's house, and there were agents there that. And they said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, we just shot the pilot of Barry." And they went, "You got that?" Then we went to see Well, no, I went, whoa, because I didn't know. Then we went to see a good acquaintance of ours, John Lithgow, on Broadway, and he was brilliant. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm doing Barry." And he went, "I wanted that." And I went, "Oh my God, this is amazing." So, yes.
So you found out kind of after the fact.
I did. I didn't know
just
while I
how
was.
many people were interested.
I had no idea.
But I mean, as the series goes on, we're through episode 6 of 8 now.
Yes.
I mean, you can see why. Because I think the character starts out, he's this acting teacher.
Right.
And you have a lot of fun with kind of, the acting teacher and the advice,
sure,
the
teachers
lessons.
I've had, teachers I've heard about.
But then it kind of deepens.
It does.
In that 4th episode, where there's kind of the surprise dinner between Gene and Detective Moss.
Yes, right.
And all of a sudden, we see a side of Gene that we haven't seen before.
Right. The writing is so precise. The Bill. Bill has said to me, if he said it once, he has said it 100 times. Could you just do the scene the way I wrote it so I can at least hear it once that way? I said, I'm trying, Bill. I really am. I want to. But from here to here, I don't know what's happening.
So what did you bring out in that dinner scene that wasn't on the page?
Not necessarily in that scene,
okay,
but in other scenes. There was just a scene where I'm dressing him down, and I am poking him, and I poked him, and I didn't realize, and I just went, "Oh my God, you're so strong," and it wound up in the cut. But I have a 6-pack. But it is buried way, way, way down below the surface. Bill is ripped. So you touch him and you could hurt your finger.
Yeah.
When you poke him.
It doesn't, and there's no give.
No, there's no give. There's no give. It's like an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had an acting, when you were coming up, did you have any kind of acting teacher like Gene?
Everybody has had someone like Gene.
Yeah.
And what is interesting is that the whole show, the whole premise of the series, are people who are torn apart. Bill is great at killing people and hates it. He wants desperately to be an actor, and he is terrible. Mm-hmm. I go out on auditions. I am a regular working actor, and you lose a commercial to a gecko, you teach. And then in the classroom, I am treated like an emperor. Mm-hmm. Do you know?
That is your arena.
That is my arena that I've created because outside of those 4 walls, I don't seem to be able to practice what I preach.
I think that, wasn't it the same episode, that fourth episode, where we see Gene go out for an audition, and he is auditioning for the man in the back of the line.
Yes, and I'm going to give you two variations.
I love that.
And when I finished,
Man in the back of the line, and you can tell when he goes in that they know him. He's, as you say,
I
he's
have been in
around.
that room before.
Yeah.
Yes. There must have been a chicken commercial. Sure.
It's humbling.
It is humbling. It is humbling in real life, let alone on the screen. But I knew that I had gotten that scene correct because, or I had done it correctly, because as I did it, and then I turned away knowing that I'm never going to get this. All I heard from Video Village, where the producers and the writer and Bill and the cinematographer sit, was, oh. And I that pathetic, oh, I figured I got it right.
You did, and I mean, seriously, you did, because again, that, I think it's in that same episode where that's where we begin to see this different side of Gene, besides the, you know, the classroom, the lessons, the sort of the love and the tough love, or the you know, mixed motivations he has with his students.
You know, he's got one really, he really cares about his students' ability to pay on time and in cash. And then after that, you know, it just is, I don't know what.
Yeah.
But I've had a wonderful career. I have done many different things. And then Barry comes into your life. And it just is. I've said this before, but when I read that script originally, and it was sent to me, you gasp, because it's like reading cashmere, you know, instead of like a cotton blend. You just knew you were in another space, you know?
And I think people have reacted to it that way. Even
Unbelievable.
You've had a lot of great parts, great roles, but this one is special. People are, you know, I read the comments section of recaps of the series.
Right.
And people are going, "Wow, this is a revelation."
Alec Berg and Bill Hader together, it's an amazement. And you know, here's the great thing. You can't oversell it. All you have to do is watch it. It's not hyperbole. It's like right there on the screen. It's on the paper when we read it. You know, we read around this big table at Sony, we read all of the 8 scripts together. The whole cast at once. And then we started shooting, and you didn't see half the cast ever again.
Sure.
It took me 9 months to see Stephen Root again, you know?
Yeah.
Or Anthony or Glenn or any of those human beings.
Because they're separate worlds. Yeah.
And how do you do that? How do you take a show that is kind of like a comedy about a drama school and a shoot 'em up and put them in the same show for 32 minutes and that it's seamless?
Yeah. Did you know that dinner scene was going, because what's interesting about, you know, it's sort of an ambush date, I would say.
Right.
You know, Detective Moss thinks she's going there for, you know, professional information. And
like I said, you're the detective. I got the confession. But yes, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
There's just this, he has such confidence. Gene has such confidence in this scene. He really believes in his ability, and he convinces her, you know? That's Gene. I don't know if it's acting or if it's Gene.
You know what? I think as an actor, you have to, when you do a scene like that, you do a scene with the love of your life. And so I think that underneath it all, underneath all of his baloney, he truly cares. He is smitten by this woman.
I love the line, I think it's, all I want is someone to spoil. And you see that in subsequent episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like Jean makes a great omelet.
I really do. Now, my favorite, of course, is Eggs Benedict.
Okay.
Do you know?
Yeah.
And my sauce, if it's eaten like at the moment, is unbelievable.
You're talking about in
Jean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
I thought maybe you.
No, I make a great tuna sandwich, actually,
All
Henry.
right, that's your special.
That's my specialty. And really fluffy scrambled eggs.
Okay. You know how to do that.
Heavy cream is the trick. It's a dollop of heavy cream.
Okay.
A splash.
So we have good advice when it comes to fluffy eggs. What about good advice when it comes to acting? What's the best advice that you've been given when it comes to acting?
Do you know, this is the truth. When I was 27, I got the Fonz. Mm-hmm. And because I changed my voice, I changed my body, you know, it was like a key that unlocked my imagination. And at that moment, after all of my training, I realized I really am just a character actor. I am not a leading man. But I knew without the change of voice, without the the detail of the Fonz, I wasn't the actor I wanted to be in my mind or in my imagination. So that was 27, and now I'm 72, so I flipped the numbers, and I am closer to the actor that I thought about being when I was 27. Some people can do it right away. Ryan Gosling has, Jack Nicholson, there is no distance. Anthony Hopkins, there's Jeffrey Wright. There's no difference between the character and their soul. Mm-hmm. There's no space. You can't even slide a piece of paper between the two. And I dreamt of that, but I couldn't accomplish that. And maybe I'm just getting there now. And that's not a false modesty. That is just the truth as I see it.
Yeah. What a blessing that you're getting closer, that you still.
And that I still can do it.
Yeah.
Men my age, excuse me, are sitting at home waiting for the phone to ring or calling their phone to find it. And I say that because I am.
It happened this
I do
morning.
that. Yes. And that I get to do this now. It's an amazing thing. Mm. It's an amazement.
And you said that, so that was it was the voice with Fonz.
Changing the voice. Now, Sir Laurence Olivier put a nose. He would fashion a nose for each character out of putty, makeup putty. And until he got the nose, he couldn't find the character, or so the legend goes. And I realized that, and I'm not in the same category, but that voice, just changing the voice, mm-hmm. It was like cellophane came off my brain.
Mm. So a lot of people would have guessed, well, it's the jacket.
No,
You're saying
it
it's
was
the
not the
voice.
jacket. It was not easy being cool in a breaker golf jacket. When I had to wear the non-leather in the beginning because...
In the beginning, it was like canvas...
Yes, a McGregor golf jacket.
Is that what it was? It was
Honest
a golf
to God,
jacket.
It was a golf jacket.
It's hard to be cool
in a very nondescript color. I don't even think the color is on a chart.
I'm remembering like a light blue kind of sky
Yes,
blue.
one could, or puce. It could, I don't know. But then finally, Gary Marshall and ABC came to an agreement that I could wear the leather sometimes. And then eventually, I got to wear it all the time.
They came to an agreement.
Yes.
I don't really understand.
They did not want me to wear leather because they thought I would be associated with crime. They also thought I was taller, but...
So in the mid-'70s,
yes.
There was still the idea about wearing a leather jacket on
Yes.
network television.
Right. Or there was
bad
then,
connotations.
Yeah. And then Gary made a deal with them. He said, you know, he could be very hurt if he rides a motorcycle in cloth. You know, he should wear leather.
It's a safety issue.
It was a safety issue. And,
Yes.
and he convinced them that when I'm with my bike, I can wear leather.
And I think
I never did a scene without that bike again. It was in my apartment. It was in Arnold's.
right.
It was outside. It was everywhere.
and probably leather jacket sales, thanks to you and the character, soared after
You know what? That's true.
right?
I didn't own one, but a lot of people came up and said, I started riding motorcycles because of you. And little did they know, I never rode a motorcycle. I had no idea how to.
When you said you didn't own a leather jacket, I mean, you'd be probably a little self-conscious walking out of your apartment, your place, just wearing a leather jacket.
Yeah,
in
no,
your
I mean,
downtime.
ever.
Ever.
Yeah, I think when I was 11, I went to the Husky department and I got a red leather jacket. I said, oh my gosh, I really want this. And my mother said, oh, it's this, I don't like this, but all right. And I had a red leather jacket when I was 11.
The only red leather jacket I can think of is Michael Jackson.
Yes.
And,
I think he borrowed it.
yeah, that
He
was the
borrowed
same
my jacket. Yes, he just put a little frou-frou on it, and he was off singing and dancing.
He accessorized
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
Yeah, it was good.
Absolutely. I took the Broadway bus.
We, yesterday we had, where you're sitting right now, Kyle MacLachlan, played Agent Cooper in Twin Peaks.
Yes.
And he was talking about...
Very handsome man. Very good-looking man.
Looks good in a leather jacket.
Yes.
And he was talking about playing Agent Cooper and, Twin Peaks 1990.
Right.
And in the subsequent years trying to come to terms with being identified with that
Right.
role. And now he's kind of at peace with it.
Yeah.
Did you have a similar process with the Fonz?
I had the hubris of thinking the Fonz is such a big character all over the world. I'm going to beat the system. I'm going to go from mountaintop to mountaintop. My career is just going to go like a wave. Until I looked down and I saw grass stains on my jeans having slid from the mountain into the valley. But I never did not appreciate what the Fonz gave me, what he was, how much fun he was to play, who I got to meet, where I got to travel, because I was on that show. And then, and Gary Marshall was a gift in my life,
What was when you say who you got to meet, where you got to travel, what was the sort of most surreal person or place?
I took my children to the my oldest, Jed, came into my life when he was 4. In the 3rd grade, he was studying the Hopi Nation. We drove across Arizona to visit the Hopi Nation. You must lock your camera in the car because they believe that you take their soul if you take a picture of them. When we arrived, they were doing a kachina dance, and I was told to get my camera because the Fonz was respectful to Native Americans in one episode. I was able to take a picture of the kachina dancing. That to me is a microcosm of the way that I was treated, and still to this day, anywhere that we travel.
Just the goodwill.
It's unbelievable.
You talked about mountaintop to mountaintop. One thing I never knew this, but when I was just doing a little research for this interview, I never knew about you and Greece, and that apparently this is a well-known fact. I feel ignorant for not knowing this, but that you were up for the
Danny
lead.
Zucker.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've played the Fonz, I don't want
You've
to
done the leather jacket.
I've done it, I don't want to, So I said no. John Travolta said yes. I went home and had a juice. He went home and bought a plane. aside from that, I have no regrets.
It's so, but can you imagine? It's hard to imagine. It's his performance in that role is so iconic.
It is.
Now.
It is. So it was meant to be.
Right.
It was meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, they would have had to have gotten somebody, like Fabian to actually sing my songs because I can't sing.
He doesn't have the strongest voice either. You could have been okay.
You think so?
I think so.
Thank you.
But we could do a little Summer Lovin' right now. I don't know if you know the words.
I don't know the words.
Okay.
I don't know the words.
So that's
I
an
don't know the
opportunity
words to almost any song. I just love the songs.
Yeah.
And I love meeting musical people,
Okay.
musical stars
Okay.
that are in my world.
Okay.
I met Sia in a grocery store about 2 months ago. I was very excited.
That seems like a kind of a random encounter.
And she was talking to Judd Apatow, and I was looking for whole wheat bread, and she came up and said, "I'm Sia." Now, of course, I've only seen her with a wig.
Yeah.
So,
That was your reaction.
I said, "Oh, I have to give you a hug," because she knew how much I loved her, or I love her. Not in the past tense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The people you meet at Whole Foods.
It's unbelievable.
Now, we have a series of questions. We call it the lightning round.
Okay,
That we've
I'm
been
ready.
asking everyone.
All right.
What was the last show that you binge watched?
Godless.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say the title correctly, the fabulous, lovely Mrs. Maisel. Miss Maisel. Marvelous.
Marvelous.
I knew there was a word in there somewhere.
The
And now,
alliteration.
and aside from Barry, how about Killing Eve?
Mm-hmm.
Except that you have to wait from week to week.
It's still going.
There's no binging.
You can't.
No.
You'd have to wait.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we saw Victoria. We saw every episode.
Mm.
You know.
It's a lot to watch.
I like
binge.
watching TV. I do.
If you could go back and be on any TV show ever, what would it be?
Wawa. I'll come back to that.
Pass for
I do.
momentarily. Okay.
Yeah, just momentarily. Because there are so many shows I'd like to be on, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of people watch TV to unwind.
Yes.
What do you do to unwind?
Fly fish for trout. My wife is a good fisher person, and we go to Montana or Wyoming or Idaho, and it's about the greatest thing you can do on the, outside of family and work.
Okay. What do you know now that you wish you knew on your first acting job?
Relax. It will be okay. Just breathe. One of the very first things I ever wrote in my spiral notebook in drama school was acting is relaxation, concentration, and listening. And it takes a moment to integrate all three things. But if you can, sooner than later, you'll have a really, really good time.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to,
Right.
I used to have two costumes when I was in plays in drama school or, in New York, because I would sweat so much. And as soon as I relaxed, I stopped sweating. And then I was down to one costume, and I cost the production less. But that's really true.
Thank you so much for coming here.
What a pleasure.
What a pleasure to watch Barry each week.
Thank you.
And your character, again, it is just one of the most joyful characters.
Thank you.
That you watch the show, and when your character comes on, it's just puts a smile on my face.
Wow, thank you. Can I just say, I feel that way about playing him.
Mm-hmm. It comes through.
It's so much fun to be in this ensemble, to play this character. There are no words. speechless.
Well, we're going to look forward to those remaining 2 episodes.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've only seen the first 4. I never, everybody else saw them all, but I was traveling and I couldn't be there for that screening. So I'm watching it with everybody else.
Sunday night.
Oh, 10:30, HBO.
For more of these Emmy conversations, you can go to latimes.com, and thank you for watching.
Really? Nice to see you.